Hey y'all, welcome to episode 2 of Lunch Break, the series where I'm just kind of trying to take some time and talk about what I'm thinking about with sports, what I'm thinking about with the NFL season specifically right now, and talk about the seasons to come, the matchups I saw, things like that. And I know I made a comment, I said, I'll be back on Friday, and it is currently Tuesday. Hopefully upload on Tuesday, because the last one uploaded Saturday. Still figuring out the kinks to get the upload times correct and get everything working. Haven't had to do it before, but I know it's Tuesday. It's like, hang on, you said every Friday. What are we doing here? I saw enough where I realized I feel like I need more of an outlet than just on Fridays where you have time to talk about the matchups. I want to be able to talk about what I saw too, because that's a big part of it as well. What did I witness? What did I see? What are some patterns I saw, concerns I may have, stuff like that. And so I want to be able to talk about those things. And once again, this is more so of a journal for me to get those thoughts out. I saw I had a couple people watch. I don't know if they watched all the way through, but either way, thank you so much for checking it out. I think that's really, really cool. Also, of course, you can see the setup's a little bit what it is. I'm at work. I don't have anything. This is just a fun use of my lunch break that I get during the week. So cool way to use my lunch break. Cool way to kind of enjoy some things. Also, wrote some notes this time. I mentioned I'll probably take some notes. Don't judge my handwriting. It's pretty terrible. But I did mention I'd take some notes, especially because you don't realize how hard it is to think of names until you were in the situation you need to think of the names. You know, defensive tackle legend Ryan Clark, according to me. Try with Kenny Clark. I think that sounds better, but Ryan Clark, defensive tackle, is insane. But, you know, I'm a non-football player. What do I know about anything? Probably shouldn't talk about it because I'm a non-football player. Shout out Ryan Clark. So names probably will still trip me up. Couldn't think of Jimmy Garoppolo. I know that was a name I forgot too. There were a lot of names. And also, last thing, since I was just muttering, I realized I sounded very monotone about everything I said. And I'm gonna work on that too. A lot of growth opportunity here. And I think that's my vision. And what I'm trying to go for with the videos to come is just every time trying to improve and, you know, present myself better and talk about these things, because if someone listens, I want them to enjoy it. If nobody does, once again, the whole point of this is to get these thoughts out. So obviously there were a lot of games that happened. I unfortunately will not have time to talk about all of them, and also didn't really have a chance to watch all of them. I work full-time. The weekends are my weekends. I have a 9-month-old, you know, I have a family. I have things I have to think about, where unfortunately sometimes there are games like Cardinals versus New Orleans. Little bit I saw, New Orleans played much better than expected, or the Cardinals not as good as people were hoping. We'll see. But games like that did not really take precedent. Like, I'm sorry, Carolina and Jacksonville did not watch. So there are games I did not have a chance to check out. There are games I saw and got to watch and pay attention to. I had Red Zone on, but even with Red Zone, there's certain times a game pops up, a play happens. You're not paying as much attention compared to if a certain other game pops up. You want to see what happened. So I starred certain ones I want to touch on, and then I really want to focus on Sunday night and Thursday night football. The two things, or Monday night football, sorry, the two things we witnessed and got to watch. Those are the big things that I think I want to focus on. And then also we'll probably preview Washington Packers for Thursday night football coming up, I think is what it is. Hopefully that's not the next Monday night football. I meant to check. We'll probably skip that just to be on the safe side, because I think it's Thursday night football. I'll talk about it either way. If it's the next Monday night football game, that's fine too. We'll talk about it because I know it's a game coming up. I just meant to check and forget which game's coming up this next week for Thursday. Want to say it's Washington Packers, so we'll still touch base on it and we'll see what happens. So let's start with the first one, and it was probably the worst prediction I had. I said the Dolphins were going to beat the Colts. Yikes. That was terrible. The Dolphins, I think, might be in the running for the worst team in the NFL, which was not on my bingo card. I didn't think they'd be good. I thought they would probably win 3, 4, 5 games. I thought this was going to be one of them because the Colts were a mess. They were picking between Anthony Richardson or they were picking between Daniel Jones as their quarterbacks. Those were your two choices. Apparently Daniel Jones is truly Vanilla Vic, you know, a shout out Bengal. Shout out to you. Vanilla Vic, he's running, making crazy passes, staying in the pocket, throwing on time. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he is not. I think that speaks to how bad the Dolphins might be this year. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. Tua looked awful. Tua is such a cool guy. He's such a nice guy. He's a great teammate. He's going to make a wonderful backup quarterback. And what I wrote down was, glad Tua got paid. As a person, I'm glad he got his paycheck. I'm glad he got his money, his guaranteed salary. He got all of those things. But are we sure we don't need to give Zach Wilson a look? That might be crazy. Is Zach Wilson much of an upgrade? I don't know. But we've seen certain Jets quarterbacks leave the Jets, and then they go to other teams and they figure things out. Geno Smith figured things out. Still the question stands on if, see, I told you names were going to slip my brain. I have them written down. But anyway, we're going to see about, man, this is going to drive me crazy. Give me just a second. Sam Darnold, thank you. We're going to see about Sam Darnold. He didn't look great, but it's against San Francisco. And even though they lost some pieces, San Francisco always has a good defense, it seems. We'll see. But Jets quarterbacks have had a history of figuring things out. They leave, and then suddenly things make sense. Aaron Rodgers, we'll talk about that. And so maybe it's time to give Zach Wilson a look. Maybe don't panic after 1 week, but that was a terrible performance. Terrible showing for the Dolphins against the Colts, one of their easier opponents. That's, I think, the biggest part, is the Colts are one of their easier opponents. At least we thought on paper. Because the other things I wrote is Colts might just be a quarterback away. They were going through and they had their ceremony for Jim Irsay. Rest in peace. He did a lot for the NFL. He was a really cool owner. He was a helpful owner. He was a cool owner to see because he was actually excited about the sport itself. He wasn't an owner that saw it as just a way to get a paycheck. He loved the NFL. And so it is sad that he passed away. It's sad to see him go. But a lot of people talked about this. You could see where he meddled a lot in what the Colts did. Carson Wentz looked good on the Colts. Not great, but good. He was serviceable. He was someone that could help the Colts continue to move forward after Andrew Luck retired unexpectedly until they could find the true solution. Jim Irsay didn't want him on the team. He said, nope, we're good. You brought in a super duper old Chargers legendary quarterback. Like I told you, the moment you need names, they slip your brain. You brought in him, super old. He was ready to retire. Even he had a good season with you, so they consistently brought in things to just keep water out of the boat, keep themselves from drowning. And Anthony Richardson, the idea of that draft pick was, we need a game changer. He has all the intangibles. Can we figure this out? And it's because that was the only choice they had. They were continuously trying to find the right quarterback, would have a possible solution. Jim Irsay would meddle, and then here we are. Got to deal with it. And so seeing the team, seeing the way they function, seeing the way the offensive line blocked, the way the run game was, defense played well once again. Are the Dolphins just really bad, or the Colts defense good? We'll see. But the defense played well. Everything seemed to be really highly structured, where I think they're a quarterback away. No matter how good Daniel Jones looked, I would be shocked if he continued to be that great. If he continued to be that high of a caliber of a quarterback, I would be shocked. And so I'm not holding my breath on that. Instead, I am playing on the team of Daniel Jones will be good. He'll keep them afloat. He'll keep them where they're not looking terrible. And then this year, the quarterback draft class is supposed to be really strong. Go out and get yourself a quarterback. My only concern is if Daniel Jones keeps playing this well, you won't be in contention for a number 1 pick, even though it seems like Arch Manning's not what everyone expected. But even then, you're the Colts. You had Peyton Manning. You would love to have Arch Manning continue that Manning, Manning bloodline through your team. That'd be really cool. Be a great storyline. Arch has to figure out some things, but the quarterback class this coming season or off season is supposed to be really strong. Find yourself a rookie there. Find yourself someone to build up and hopefully be the difference. Last part for this game, I'm not going to spend too much more time. Tyreek Hill needs to go. You got to trade him. I don't care if you suddenly say he's not playing because he has a sore ankle. He has a hurting back. I don't care. He doesn't need to be on the field with your team. Your team's struggling enough as it is. Tyreek's only going to take away from that. He hasn't had a deep completed pass in over a year now, since the week 1 of last season. Now you can say that's a Tua issue, but I think it's a Tyreek issue too. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. It takes two parts. That game Tyreek did not look good. Even if Tua didn't get him the ball, Tyreek didn't do much to get himself open to deserve the ball. So you need to get him out of there. I don't care if you get a 5th round pick out of it, a 6th round pick out of it. I don't care if you have to cut him. He doesn't need to be on this team. This team is struggling enough. He's already brought a bad energy. You can believe in Mike McDaniel. You can dislike Mike McDaniel. It's fine. You can think he can't coach. That's okay. If he's not the coach for you, that is fine. But clearly Tyreek has brought in a certain attitude where Mike McDaniel does not have the respect of his team. He doesn't have the respect of the locker room. And that's not something Tua would do. I don't believe that. Tua seems like the type that he would support him no matter what, even if he's like, I don't know if this is the right plan. Tyreek, on the other hand, clearly is carrying with a level of disrespect that other players in the Dolphins locker room were doing as well. He wasn't alone in it, but he's one of the sole pieces that are still left. You got to get him out of there. I don't care what you got to do. Tyreek cannot stay on your team. Send him to the 49ers. Send him back to the Chiefs. Send him wherever you need to. Just don't keep him on your team. So Dolphins have a chance to be the worst team in the NFL. They can draft Tua's replacement, decide if they're just going to eat Tua's money or keep him on the team, because Tua is going to be a good backup. You just can't have a backup quarterback making $40, $50 million a year, whatever Tua is going to make. So you might need to just eat that money. Tua go find a team that he can back up. He could stay in the league, keep doing his thing as a serviceable backup quarterback that if you have to put him in, could be worse, could be better, but it's a backup quarterback. You're not going to have, a great player as a backup quarterback. They wouldn't be a backup if that was the case. There are plenty of teams that need a quarterback that if you are good enough to be a serviceable starter, you can go to those teams. But yeah, Dolphins probably not going to be great. Colts, I still don't fully believe in them, but they have a good team where they could win some of these games. But they blew out the Dolphins, which is a bad look for the Dolphins. Next game I wanted to talk about, Bengals at Browns. The Bengals won the game, and they should feel terrible about it. Unless we find out as the season goes on, the Browns have like a top 3 defense in the league, the Bengals should feel terrible about how that game went. Because you were playing the Browns that are dysfunctional as ever. Joe Flacco is their starting quarterback. He is 8,000 years old. They don't have wide receivers. They have, seems like a really good rookie tight end that's might be good for years to come. So they have 2 tight ends that are serviceable. Their offensive line, hit or miss. The offensive line had a decent game from what I saw, the little bit I watched and witnessed. I don't know if they had a lot of plays that weren't great, but I know they had some that were good. So like I said, hit or miss. But yeah, the Browns are a mess. And you're supposed to be a perennial Super Bowl contending team with Joe Burrow, with T. Higgins, and with Jamar Chase. You just paid Trey Hendrickson just for 1 season. After that, he's going to go to another team. Good for him. But you paid him for a season to get him to play. You have all of your pieces. And you beat the Browns by 1 point. Jamar Chase could not get the ball. Joe Burrow had terrible stats. He looked terrible on the stat sheet. He looked terrible in the game. And it's because he had no protection. He had no time to get the ball where it needed to be. They had barely any run game. The defense made the Bengals look like they were idiots. I don't know if the Bengals just overlooked this game because they said the Browns are a mess. We need to focus on week 2. I don't know. I sure hope not. But the Bengals should not feel good about this win. A lot of Bengals fans are like, we relate to the Eagles now. We understand a win's a win, however you squeak it out. Not in this case. Any other team, for the most part, apparently the Dolphins are another one, you wouldn't feel good about that. Just about any other team, you can have that mindset. You can say, hey, we squeezed out the win. We stole this win. We got this win. When we weren't playing our best, we'll be fine. The Browns, I think they're going to win like 2, 3, 4 games. They're not going to win a lot. And they should not be in the position where they could have almost beat you. Even if they're in Cleveland, even if they're at home, I do not care. You are supposed to be one of these top teams, one of these great teams that are supposed to go in there. They're supposed to be able to win the Super Bowl. You're supposed to be able to take out Patrick Mahomes, who seems vulnerable this season. You should be able to take out Patrick Mahomes. You're supposed to be able to take out Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You're supposed to take out these great AFC teams. The Chargers you got to watch out for. And this is the result you put up against a team that's not even going to be in the playoffs. The Browns have, I would say, 0 chance to be in the playoffs. That's the performance you put up. You should not feel good about this at all. And Zach Taylor is definitely on the hot seat, even after a win. Because when you look at that, that shows that the Bengals are still starting off slow. This is another slow start. Even with a W, this is a slow start. Their offense should have put up at least 2 to 3 touchdowns. Or at least three to 4 touchdowns is what I meant to say. They should have put up 3 touchdowns, some field goals. They should have put more on the board than what they did. They put up 17 points. That's 2 touchdowns and a field goal. That's all they could muster for 4 quarters with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins. Joe Burrow was getting lit up that game. That offensive line is a joke. Now I get it. The Browns seem to have a good pass rush. They have to me, the best defensive player in the league. I get it. But once again, you're supposed to be this top team, and that's what you put up. And then for the Browns, I put get a new kicker. Maybe give him a chance. Maybe give him another week, but I don't know. I don't think so. The Browns literally were 2 field goal, making 1 field goal. There was field goal after field goal that were missed. If they made 1 of those, they win the game. 1 field goal, the Browns steal the game from the Bengals, and the Bengals look even worse. But they also need to be prepared for that quarterback change. The Browns need to decide what they need to do, because there's going to be more games like this where Joe Flacco does good enough. He does a decent job. He's Joe Flacco. He's talented, clearly, but he's not going to do enough. It's time. It's how I feel about the Giants. I'm not going to talk about them either, but you need to go ahead and get your rookies out there. If you want to wait a little bit, if the Giants want to wait until they get past a gauntlet of teams, that's fine. What reason do the Browns have? They have 2 quarterbacks they're trying to figure out if either of them can play. You need all the games you can get, picking between 2 quarterbacks. You need all the games you can get. The Giants, I get it. You may want to wait a little bit for Jackson Dart. Side comment, you can't keep putting Russell Wilson out there. If you're not going to go Jackson Dart, at least put Jameis Winston out there. Because your team's going to give up on you quick with Russell at quarterback. That was ugly. It looked terrible. But that's a side thing. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about that game too much. There's not a lot to talk about past that. But yeah, the Browns need to be prepared for how they're going to switch things up. Next one, I got 2 more I'm going to talk about before the big ones I want to focus on. The Bucks at the Falcons. I want to talk about this one for one because I want to pat myself on the back. On Friday, I talked about how I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be an insanely good wide receiver. And to me, I think that had to be one of the best wide receiver rookie game ones that you can recall. I get it, he didn't flood the stat sheet, but he got 2 touchdowns, one of which was a game sealer that he got in the back of the end zone. He played phenomenal. And according to the interview that Mike Evans had, Emeka Egbuka called that. He went to the huddle. He said, this is the play we need to run. I need to be on a post. I'm going to burn him. I'm going to win us this game. And he went out. Baker saw it. He saw he was following through. Baker said, let's finish this out, and sealed the deal. Emeka Egbuka is going to be a future wide receiver 1. Right now, he's the 2 behind Mike Evans. I feel like at this point, he might still stay the 2, even with, my brain keeps saying Aaron Gordon. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Godwin. There we go. Even when he comes back from injury, I think Emeka Egbuka is still going to be their wide receiver 2 because he is that talented. He is that good on the team. And I think him and Joe Burrow are just going to keep, Joe Burrow is crazy. Him and Baker Mayfield, my gosh, him and Baker are going to keep building their chemistry. And whenever Mike Evans is ready to call it a career, because Mike Evans is retiring as a Buccaneer, when Mike Evans is ready to call it a career, Emeka Egbuka is ready to take over as that wide receiver 1. Or if Mike Evans takes a step back and starts regressing, switch Emeka Egbuka in there. Mike Evans is your wide receiver 2. You're still just fine. You are still just fine. Bake Show, if you look at the stat sheet, you're like, nothing special. He still showed he's a dog. He was faced with adversity. He was faced with being down. He said, I don't care. We're going to win this. Once again, trust Emeka Egbuka. They had a great connection. They won the game. I don't think there's such thing as a moment too big for Baker Mayfield. At this point, he has grown so much. He's developed so much. He is an amazing quarterback. Obviously, talent-wise, he's not one of the top 4. He's in top 10. He's similar to Dak, where it's like you say he's top 10 and people are like, I don't know. And then you're like, okay, go ahead and name quarterbacks better than him. You go down the list, and at a certain point, you're like, I don't think I can keep going. I think I've run out of quarterbacks. And you realize you probably have them 8, 9, maybe right at 10. It's just saying out loud top 10 without thinking more about it sounds weird. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, he's him. And the Bucs are going to be really good. But Atlanta really surprised me. I think I said I thought it was going to be a touchdown and a field goal, maybe 2 touchdowns. I thought Atlanta was going to struggle a bit. But instead, Michael Penix showed that he might be the answer as well. Michael Penix went out there and he showed that he might be that quarterback that people are hoping he was. The balls he threw, they had velocity. They went where they needed to be. His decision-making was impressive. When he needed to run, he showed he is more mobile than people give him credit for. And he also tried to do his best Michael Jordan impression in Space Jam. My man jumped, and he was still in the air at the 3-yard line and found a way to still get the ball onto the goal line. He made it right on the goal line and got that touchdown. That was a crazy play to put his team up, and his defense just couldn't come through. Happens. It's unfortunate. And they would have gone to overtime if it wasn't for Younghoe Koo missing that kick, which that's not Younghoe Koo's game. He hits those. So he did everything he needed to get Younghoe Koo in a place that he will make those 90% of the time. And they just happened to roll that 10% that they didn't. It was unfortunate because it was a great game, and I was excited about the idea of overtime. And it's unfortunate that didn't happen because, that would have been awesome to see that trade-off from there and then keep building on it. But yeah, no, Michael Penix showed that he might be the answer. We'll keep waiting to see. But after one game, he showed that he has the potential at least. He showed more than flashes at that point. But then lastly, I also put the fact outside of Atlanta is actually going to compete for this division. I didn't expect that, but they'll be in the hunt. Bucks won't run away with it easily. I still would take Bucks in the division, but I think Atlanta probably will be a playoff team if they continue to play like that. But I also put Bijan Robinson is truly a problem. Top 3 running back, kind of the versatile do-it-all. And if you get him in the open field, good luck catching him. Once he's in the open field, you might as well give him an extra 15, 20, 30 yards after the catch or after the run, because you're not going to catch him. And if you do, it's because he's on the sideline and you just happen to get the angle right. But if you're trying to catch up with him, you ain't got it. He's got a touchdown. If you're running behind him, if you see the back of his jersey, he's got a touchdown. If you see the front of him, you better have a great pursuit angle, because if you don't and you angle it wrong, touchdown, no question. And even then, you might make it to him and he jukes you out. He's a problem. Top 3 running back, great in the open field. He's going to be really good, and that's part of what makes Atlanta so great, is all of their weapons show that they are figuring things out. I'm not going to talk about Cardinals at New Orleans. New Orleans might be better than we think. Cardinals might be worse than we think. Raiders at Patriots, not going to talk about them. Geno showed that he's better than they gave him credit. I put that he's a 9-volt battery instead of a AA battery. So we'll see. Genty showed some flashes, just a little bit to get excited about. And then Brock Bowers might be this generation's Travis Kelce, especially if he keeps this trajectory going. Carolina at Jacksonville, same thing, didn't watch it much. Both quarterbacks, though, from what I did see, didn't look like either of them are the answer. For sure, Bryce Young, I don't think that's it. Trevor Lawrence, you want to keep giving him chances, but how many more chances can you get? I think he's done enough where you're like, the potential's still there, let's keep trying, but He's already on his contract. He's off his rookie contract. You can only give him so many shots. So not going to talk much more past that. Giants at Washington hit what I wanted to talk about. Russ can't keep being out there. Pittsburgh at Jets. The first thing I put was WTF. That was the first bullet point I put. WTF. What was this game? You have defensive Pittsburgh, defensive Jets. Who had a shoot-off? Who had a shootout as their bingo card, as this is how the game's going to go. It's going to be a high-scoring, back-and-forth, electric game. Nobody. If you told me that that's what you predicted, I'm going to call you a liar. You had Justin Fields, who in the offseason and the pre-games was not looking good. So that's your running quarterback that can throw, but a running quarterback, a team that likes to run, in a defense that's stifling, versus the Pittsburgh Steelers with old man Aaron Rodgers never throwing to his pass catchers before. Same thing, they had multiple running backs. They have a stifling defense. I thought that had 12-9 written all over it. I think I still picked Pittsburgh to win. I might have picked the Jets. I don't remember, but I think I still picked the Steelers. But not in a shootout. Not in a Aaron Rodgers throws 4 touchdowns and looks like the old Aaron Rodgers game. His arm talent's still insane. So yeah, I put WTF. What was that? 2 great defenses that played no defense. They were 2 defenses that are supposed to be great that did nothing. They both looked like they didn't belong out there, which is crazy because the Jets have Sauce Gardner. They have Quentin Johnson. That's his name, Quentin Johnson. So they have a great defense. And then you have the Steelers that are known for their defensive markings. That's what they're known for. They are not known for an explosive offense. And they went off for like 35, 36 points in a last-second win. What are we doing here? And the fact that the Jets were still in the position they could have won, they literally did everything they could. They were in striking distance. They tried to get where it needed to go, and they just couldn't finish it out in the end. What are we doing here? Justin Fields looked amazing. Aaron Rodgers looked amazing. So either these are going to be 2 terrible defenses this year, or those quarterbacks might both be better than we expected this season. Aaron Rodgers just because he's 43 years old, he's ancient. But Justin Fields because it looked like this was going to be his last stop. And he suddenly showed a flash of, what are we doing here? Because what I put is, it was the Rodgers Renaissance versus Fields fairy tale. 2 things that didn't seem real both happened. So that game was confusing. I just put WTF because what are we doing here? Niners at Seattle, put Darnold might be more of a potato battery than a AA battery, like I said on Friday. And then Purdy did not look great, but he did what he had to win. Give him credit, he pulled it out of the fire, but it did not look good. And CMC just did what he could to continue to carry the Niners. Not much else to talk about there. Tennessee at Denver, yikes. Not going to talk about a lot, but Bo Nix looked awful. But Tennessee also looked awful. Cam Ward showed flashes. He showed he has the potential to be that guy. It didn't look good. Texas at Rams. CJ Stroud might just be a bad quarterback. He might not be good. He might have had a good rookie season, and this might just be kind of the Carson Wentz effect, where he was good and then trailed off. We might be looking at that. I don't know. Stafford showed he still has it. Just got to keep him protected. Puka Nacua, gorgeous. Devontae Adams did a lot better. First game with Stafford, never throwing to each other than I expected. And Nick Chubb, though, for the Texans, showed if he keeps working into shape, he'll be fine. Detroit at Green Bay. The biggest thing I put is that Parsons energized the team. The Packers played with a different energy that you haven't seen before, and Micah Parsons was a big part of that. The defense went crazy, and even though Micah Parsons didn't have the stats to show it, he had a good game, and the Packers made it look like they are an NFC favorite to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know how long I've been going, but these are the 2 games I really wanted to talk about, and I really want to focus on these. Ravens at Bills. You guys saw on Friday, Ravens fan over here. This is the definition of what it is to be a Ravens fan at this point. It is a tale of 3 quarters versus 1 quarter. You have 3 quarters that everything looks like this might be the greatest team in football. This might be the best thing. They might smoke everybody. This might be amazing. And then 1 quarter of what is happening? What is happening? There's no way that happened. There's no way. They're not going to choke this, right? There's no way it's a 3-point game. There's no way we punted back to the Bills. It's a 2-point game, and we just gave the ball back to Josh Allen when it was a 4th and 3. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. They got the field goal. Okay, there's a way. Game over. Last second field goal, wasted the time. Kicked the field goal, 0-0, game over. Because they knew not to put the ball back in Lamar Jackson's hands. That was awful. Awful to see. And I think the part that was frustrating about it, when you were watching that game, is I get that Derrick Henry ran all over the Bills defense, but Lamar Jackson was no slouch. He played so well. Zay Flowers played amazing. He had over, I think, 120, 130 yards in the game. So Lamar Jackson played great. Zay Flowers played great. Derrick Henry played great. All three of them played amazing. But what does Todd Monken do? Give it to Derrick Henry. Give it to Derrick Henry. Oh, it's third and 7. Okay, let's go ahead and throw. Okay, we got the ball back. They just scored. That's unfortunate. Give it to Derrick Henry. Oh, a fumble. We can't control those. Oh, they just scored. We got the ball back. Okay, give it to Derrick. Give it to Derrick. Okay, let's throw the ball on 3rd and long again. Oh, we didn't. Oh, we got the yards, but we're 4th and 2. We could convert and then run out the clock. We have Lamar Jackson. We have Derrick Henry. 4th and 2. We could get 2 yards. Now let's punt it. Give it to Josh Allen. Oh, they ran down our defense that suddenly in this 4th quarter could not stop Josh Allen. He kept shredding the defense. Who would have thought? What are we doing here? You have the not the last season's MVP, but a 2-time MVP on your team in Lamar Jackson. To me, Lamar Jackson is the 2nd to 3rd best quarterback. In the regular season, Lamar Jackson has argument to be the best quarterback. In the playoffs, that's where it discounts him. Even though last season he did better, and I think he's shown that he can play in the playoffs now. I'm not going to hold that against him. But you can't say he's the best quarterback yet. I know that. But he's at least 3rd. If you have him 4th under Joe Burrow, you're just hating just to hate. He is the 3rd best quarterback at a minimum, 2nd at a max, because Josh Allen just showed he's Josh Allen. So 3rd to 2nd best quarterback in the league. All he has to do is get 2 yards. And you punt the ball to the best quarterback in the league right now. Why are we doing this? For our defense that cannot make stops, that is one of the most expensive defenses in the league. Why are we doing this? Blowing a 40 to 25 lead and losing 41 to 40? Unacceptable. There cannot be another loss like this, or else you got to make coaching changes. I don't care how great John Harbaugh has been for the Ravens. And I get the question is, well, who else is out there? You got to replace him with someone better. Sometimes you need a change of voice. And a loss like this, if it ends up costing the 1 seed, and in return costing a playoff win, you can't keep that. You can't keep that in your locker room. There's too much damage there. So the Ravens need to feel great about what they did up until that point, and then need to feel terrible about how it ended. But the other thing, the one shining light in this that I will say, Derrick Henry does not fumble often, so you shouldn't be freaked out about that. The Bills won and the Ravens lost, and it wasn't because of something Lamar Jackson did where he got tight. Were there opportunities he could have done maybe to seal the game? Maybe it was out there. But it was the conservative play calling of the coaching staff that caused where we got to be, So that's the shining light, is Lamar didn't get too tight. Lamar didn't get rattled. I feel like the coaching staff got scared of what if he does, and they took the ball out of his hands, which was completely unfair to Lamar. You need to give him the chance to be great. You want him to grow in those moments, put the ball in his hand. I don't care who you have in the backfield. Derrick Henry clearly is still a top 5 running back. Clearly is a problem at 31 years old. I don't care who you have in the backfield. Put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands. Let him do what he needs to do. It's that simple. That simple. If you want him to keep growing in these high pressure moments, don't take those opportunities away, especially in the regular season. Because if we had lost, but it's because we were aggressive and we pushed and we tried for 4th down and we didn't get the 4th down, but we showed that aggressive I trust Lamar Jackson, and that's what led to the Bills getting the ball. They were in field goal range already. They ran out the clock, so our defense couldn't stop them. They kicked the field goal. So be it, because we were aggressive. We knew our quarterback could do it. But that's not what happened. That is not what happened. They got scared. And when you play scared, that opens up greatness for someone who is great. Now, on the Bills side of things, they cannot get too comfortable with this win. It is fantastic you pulled this win out. It is fantastic you're 1-0. But that's the end of the day. You're 1-0, and you just gave up over 200 rushing yards, and you just gave up 40 points. You basically gave up 40 points in 3 quarters. Clearly, the Bills need some help. If they get too comfortable and they say, "Hey, we won 41-40, there's nothing we need to change," you're wrong, because you can't trust. Like, we trust Josh Allen, but you can't put so much pressure on your quarterback that Josh Allen has to be the greatest quarterback every single game. You have to have a team that can complement him. That's what Mahomes has had and why he's been so great. That's what Tom Brady had. Josh Allen cannot be expected to put on the cape all the time. And so they need to go to the drawing board and figure out what didn't work. Because if they get too caught up in the fact that, oh, we won the game, you're missing out on all of the bad things you did for 3 quarters. You looked terrible for 3 quarters. The Ravens pushed you around. They embarrassed you on defense specifically. The Ravens offense made the Bills defense look silly. You can't just show up and be like, it's fine, it'll work itself out. You have to still be mindful about the things that happen until you go to week 2 and you get ran over for over 100 yards again. You can't do that, because if a team can run all over you, as someone who is aware, because I didn't want to say it, but I was born and raised Cowboys fan as well. Terrible, hate, rough life. Ravens fan by choice, Cowboys fan by birth, but still, as someone who had to watch the Cowboys last season and the season before and not be able to stop the run, it's not pretty. Doesn't matter how good you play. If you're getting run all over, that's a wrap. You're not going to stop anybody. So the Bills need to not rest on their laurel. They can't just rest and be like, we won the game. We pulled it. You can't do that, because it doesn't matter if you won. You looked so bad. You looked terrible until the end, whenever you looked great and you pulled out the win. Good for you. Great story. Great job for the Bills. You just can't do it. So that's my take on that one. The Ravens better figure it out, because if not, you got to change coach. Last but not least, we have Monday Night Football that happened last night for me. Whenever I was making my notes, I made them Monday, actually, on my lunch break. One of the things I did is I wrote down things I was looking for the Monday night game. So I was looking for how Williams is composed. I was looking at how the coaches trust their quarterbacks, so they're being conservative or aggressive. I wanted to see the connection that J.J. McCarthy has with Justin Jefferson. And I wanted to see Williams' connection with Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. Wanted to see how that looked. And then I also wanted to see what happens with the Vikings and Bears defense, because I was just curious. Those were the things I was trying to watch for. So starting with Caleb Williams, that was a tale of 2 halves. There was a half that Caleb Williams looked good. I'm not even going to say great. He had flashes of greatness, but he looked good. And then there was the second half, that he looked out of sorts. He looked not so good. And I feel like that also ties into the Vikings defense. I don't know if this is in the game plan of the Vikings defense, but it felt like it was, where the first half, they were rushing 4 primarily. They would send some blitzes, but it wasn't anything crazy. They were rushing 4, maybe rushing 5, not sending a lot of kind of questionable blitzes, confusing things. They rushed 4 to 5. They kept it pretty simple. And so because of that, Caleb had time. If the pocket was collapsing, he had 4 defenders to avoid. He just had to get out of the pocket, get where he needed to go. He showed his athleticism, showed his speed. That run that he then threw on the sideline to Rome Odunze, oh my gosh. What a throw by Caleb Williams, and what a catch by Rome. Year 2, Rome might be figuring it out, because year 1, not so much. But Rome wasn't built in a day. Haha, funny. So that throw was magnificent. The QB run for the touchdown looked great. The touchdown that he threw in the first half looked great. He got the ball where it needed to be. And he showed that he could play in the defense with the checkdowns, with just taking what the defense gave him, not making everything a big play. Not everything had to be a 40-yard bomb. He showed that he can play within the defense in the first half, which looked really good. And then the second half came around. And then suddenly they were sending blitzes at him. They were sending looks he wasn't prepared for, and he got rattled. He was running out of the pocket. Every single time he felt pressure coming, instantly he was gone. He relied on his feet. He relied on trying to get open, caused him to step out of bounds on a throw, which the throw was out of bounds anyway. But he stepped out of bounds. He took some sacks. He ran and maybe got a yard before running out of bounds. The blitzes came and Caleb Williams could not handle them. He didn't know how to pick him up pre-snap. He didn't know how to move protections around to try to help him. The blitzes, just the exotic blitzes flying at him, he just wasn't ready for. And in that second half, he looked shaken up, which then caused the question of, is he the worst quarterback in his draft class? Because J.J. McCarthy, on the other hand, had the complete opposite experience. In the first half, J.J. McCarthy did not look good. I tweeted out, I literally, as soon as I saw it, as I was watching it, they had the ball. They got the ball back, drove it down to about the 50, it would have been a 58-yard kick. There was 11 seconds left, and instead of giving JJ a chance to get the ball even closer, they kicked that field goal. They said it's 11 yards. It wasn't even like it was fourth down or something. I think it was first or second down. 11 seconds left in the half, and they said, we're just going to kick this field goal. The kicker's longest field goal before that was 57 yards, and the coach felt more comfortable having the kicker try to hit the longest field goal of his career than he did putting the ball back in J.J. McCarthy's hand. And that made me say, I don't know if he trusts him. I don't think he does. I don't think he trusts him. That's not good. He clearly does not trust his quarterback. And then the second half came around. And when that second half started, oh my gosh, it was night and day. Who is this guy? Suddenly, J.J. McCarthy was hitting open receivers. He was running around. He was making plays with his legs. He was throwing into tight windows. He showed that he has the tools to be a good quarterback. He has the size. He has the arm strength. The ball got in there quick. And I think there was one specific catch. So what I put for Justin Jefferson and JJ, it's a work in progress. There was one specific catch that Justin Jefferson went for. And if you watch in slow motion, the ball legitimately flew through Justin Jefferson's hands. I think that's because Justin Jefferson is not used to playing with a quarterback with this much arm strength. I genuinely think J.J. McCarthy throws the ball with so much velocity. When I watched him make some throws where he had to get to the other hash and that ball got there, he's got the arm talent and he built the confidence. That night alone, I think, just changed J.J. McCarthy's career trajectory because he just showed, for one, he threw a pick six and was not shaken. And then he got his team in position to win. Scored a touchdown with his legs, scored another touchdown with his arm. I think it was two passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, all in the second half. He figured himself out and he went from only having 3 points on the board to having 27 and winning the game. So I think you give it some more time, the Vikings may have found their guy. Give it a couple more weeks. I'm not going to say it yet, but they may have found their guy. But I know for sure they found their coach. They've had him for a while. We've known Kevin O'Connell's great. I think he just cemented himself as a top 3 to 5 coach in the league. I think if you run down the list, Kevin O'Connell is one of the first ones I'd want to grab because he's young, he's creative, and he knows how to coach up a quarterback. And that's what you need in today's league. Andy Reid may be seen as the best coach in the league right now, but he's also older. You only get a couple more seasons with him. Kevin O'Connell, you have his whole career ahead of you. He'd be probably the first quarterback or first coach you'd want on your team. If you had a choice of anyone, he might be the first because you'd have him for a long time. He played an amazing game, or he coached an amazing game. And his whole team just rallies around the vision Kevin O'Connell has. Fantastic coach. fantastic coach, and I think the Vikings are going to enjoy him as a coach for years to come. So, and that's all the notes I had. Like I said, I want to say Thursday night football is Packers at Washington, but that might be Monday night. I don't remember. So we'll just talk about that one next time. But those are my thoughts of what happened. So I'll be back on Friday after Thursday night football, talk about the game, talk about what I think is going to happen the following week, and we'll go from there. So I appreciate y'all listening. For those who did, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me on my lunch break, but it's probably about that time. So I'm going to go ahead and head out. I hope your fantasy football team did well this week. Mine won, scored the most in my league. Shout out to me. So hopefully your fantasy football team did well. Hopefully your parlays hit. And I will talk to y'all on Friday.